Hey guys, my name's Tom. This is going to be a new channel that I'm starting. It's going to be basically van life. I know everybody's doing van life videos and stuff like that, but this isn't your typical van life. A little backstory on why we're starting this whole ordeal. I do have a couple other YouTube channels, and I can't post some of the stuff on those channels because, well, I've been married for 8 years. Been together for 12. And been together technically on and off for 17. And about, let's see, July-ish, maybe a little bit before July, I came home from work, and I was supposed to wake my wife up, and she was going to come downstairs and we were going to hang out like we normally do. She works third shift, I work first shift. She comes down, I go upstairs and she's still awake, but she looks really grumpy, and I'm just like, okay, well, she's probably just tired. So I try getting her to come downstairs and do our normal night thing before she goes to work, and she's like, I'm just really tired, I'm gonna stay up here for a little while. I said, okay, not a big deal. Grabbed my stuff, went downstairs, not thinking anything of it, and about 10-15 minutes later, she comes downstairs, comes outside, and I see her coming into the camper, and she didn't have any of her stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, whatever. And she sits down, and she just has this really, like, straight, solemn look on her face. I'm just like, all right. I'm like, what's wrong? And she turns her chair towards me, and she's like, we got to talk. I'm like, all right. And she's like, I want to leave you. And I'm blown away because I had no clue. Literally, before this all went down, I was thinking, because it's really hard. We don't do a lot of stuff because I work a lot, and we've been kind of stuck in this rut, and I've been trying to think of things to do, and I'll come up with stuff. She doesn't want to do it, or I ask her what she wants to do, and she doesn't want to do anything. And then I'm like, well, let's try to do this. Like, I went out and bought digital cameras so we could go take pictures, just go do things. And we make plans, and she'd be like, I don't want to. All right, well, it's up to you. I mean, I'm not going to force you to go. And I was just getting ready to go buy 2 kayaks because she's always wanted a kayak, so I figured, screw it, I'll buy 2 kayaks and we can go do that. But she looks at me and she's like, I want to leave you. I still love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I'm blown away. I'm like, what? Like, our anniversary was coming up in 2 months, our 8-year anniversary. I'm like, what? Okay. And she didn't get the reaction that she thought she was going to get, because normally when stuff like that happens, I freak out and stuff breaks and things get thrown around. I'm bad, but this was like, holy shit. So I did a complete different reaction than she thought. So she thought about giving it another chance, and I'm like, okay. So we worked on it a little bit, and I tried showing that I cared more, because that was her big thing. I didn't show I cared enough, so I'd start staying up later with her before she would go to work. And then I'd tell her to text me when she got, I'd ask, first couple days I told her to text me when she got to work, so I knew she got to work safe, so showing that I cared. And then it got after the first few days, I was like, text me if you want to. And she's like, okay. And she didn't text one night, and I was just like, oh, okay. So I texted her, I'm like, everything all right? You all good? It was like a couple hours after she's been at work. I hadn't heard from her at all, so I was worried. And she's like, oh, no, everything's fine. I'm like, all right. And then after that, it'd be like, text me if you want to. She's like, do you want me to? I'm like, I do, but it's up to you. Like, I'm not going to force you to text me. I mean, I do like saying goodnight to you. And that turned into being controlling, apparently, even though I gave her the option. I did a bunch of things. We were hanging out. We went to the zoo. We were going all over the place. I was taking her out for dinner. We were doing all sorts of like stuff you would when you first start dating. And I'm trying to show that I'm caring more, and I'm trying not to be as down, because I mean, I work a lot of hours. I do. My job sucks. I make really good money, but my job sucks. I'm there a lot. I'm on mandatory overtime for the rest of my life, from basically the looks of it. So it's rough, and things were going all right, and our anniversary came, and she's always wanted a canary diamond. So I went around, I found it was a lab created, the center was a lab created emerald, because she loves emeralds, and it had 2 real canary diamond chips in it. So I got her that for our anniversary. And she didn't wear it at first because she was afraid she was going to screw it up. That's what she said. But then she started wearing it. And I'm like, all right. Things were going good. I thought things were going good. And then a couple weeks go by, and we were talking about maybe having children and everything else. And I got home from work again, and I woke her up. She's like, I'm up. I'm like, all right. And she's like, I gotta go downstairs and go to the bathroom real quick. I'm like, all right. And I go downstairs, and she's like, hey, can you wait for me in the kitchen? Sure. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, doo-doo. And she comes out, and she hands me the ring I just bought her and says, I just can't do this anymore. I'm like, what did I do this time? She's like, you're too controlling. And how am I controlling? And because of the work thing. And I'm like, okay. So we were going to do a trial separation, and I ended up moving out of the house into the camper that was like in the driveway, like away from the house. And it was a little weird. We weren't really talking as much, but we were still talking every day, because she wanted to. I kept trying to cut communication off completely, and she kept saying, no, if you do that, that means you're giving up, and blah blah blah. So we were still talking and texting, and everything seemed to be fine. She had these friends that she met through her job that they kind of stirred the pot a little bit. She doesn't think they did, but they did with some of the conversations that they were having. Like, they said I said a bunch of stuff that I didn't say, or I wouldn't tell people certain aspects of stuff if I didn't actually know them, so I wasn't going to go into my whole life story. So we went from that point, and then everything was all right while I was out in the camper, and then next thing I know, we were supposed to go get tattoos, and she was going to go four-wheeling with me the following day. I thought everything was fine. I go home, and her mom and dad were there, and I went inside, and I was talking to them. I'm like, oh yeah, me and Brooke are supposed to go four-wheeling tomorrow, blah blah blah, everything will be fine. And I'm thinking about getting this diesel heater to help heat the camper up and everything. And her dad kind of looks at me, he's like, well, you could get an apartment, and then you wouldn't have to worry about doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but we're still working things out, and things seem to be going good. I mean, we talked a lot today, and I thought things were going better. And he's like, are you kids just trying to make us think we have dementia? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's just like, nothing. So she comes home, and apparently she went and got tattoos with her friends. And I was like, I thought we were supposed to do that tomorrow. And she's like, yeah, but you're going four-wheeling. I'm like, I thought we were going to do it before we went four-wheeling, because it's in the same place we were going four-wheeling, basically. And she's like, Well, you didn't communicate enough. I'm like, well, we made these plans 2 weeks ago. Well, I just went today. Okay. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, my parents are irritating me. I'm like, okay. They didn't like my tattoos, blah, 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 because her car's messed up. So I'm just sitting there talking to her, and I look at her. I'm like, all right, I got to ask you. Should I be looking for an apartment? And she kind of sits there, and her whole tone changes, and she's like, yeah, you probably should. Things are getting complicated. I'm like, how are they I'm living across the driveway. I barely come in the house. She's like, it's just getting complicated. I came home the other morning at 3:40 in the morning, and next thing I know, you're saying good morning as I'm walking in because your car woke me up because the motor's rapping really loudly. I'm sorry. I figured I'd say good morning before you went to bed. I didn't think it was a big deal. She's like, that's borderline stalker. I'm like, you pulled next to where I'm sleeping with a car that's rapping really loudly. That's not my fault. So I ended up saying, fine, I'm gone. I was living in my truck for about a week, 2 weeks. And then I ended up going and I bought a van. It's a 1986 Dodge Road Track, I believe. And we're going to start doing van life. So the outside needs some cleaning up. It looks horrible. The inside's actually pretty nice. I'm the fourth owner. So we're going to start doing the van life thing. So this channel is going to be basically my journeys of becoming divorced and trying to rebuild my life. I hope you come with me on the journey.